Wait, like, just anchor.
Yeah. Anchor of the week.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Anchor of the Week, where you don't have to agree with us to be friends with us. Courtney here, and we've got two. Joel's already giggling. You could just tell he's so excited.
I'm so excited.
He is here. We were here with Joel. We're here with Jetson. We got an exciting episode for you guys today. But before we get into that, we have to obviously get the, the pleasantries out of the way. Did you guys guess who last episode was? We're doing the intro. I'm waiting. It was Laura. Did you get it right? I don't know, but I'm waiting for the crowd interaction, but there's none, and they're just sitting here watching me. Thank you. That's all I needed. Well, here's the thing, and this was not planned. You'll know Laura from episode 2.
If you're a real one.
If you're a real, like I say every episode. So Laura and Gabby were on, right, for the body image and female friendships episode. And today, in a poetic turn of events, we're doing the male version of that.
Oh my god.
Also, we're going to see the dynamic of Courtney and just two chill guys.
We're just two chill guys, so it's okay. We're here. We're here to vibe.
Amazing. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
We're recording
Good.
in the morning,
I
which is new
made
for
a
us.
pot of coffee. So I like the morning for this. It's fun. I got
Yep.
my mug.
My coffee is already gone.
Yo,
so
wow.
yeah.
Okay, Joel, though, is someone that cannot, drink slowly.
No.
I've never seen you drink anything slowly.
No. Honestly, even the drink that I love the most, I'm gonna just drink it right away. Even the drink that I hate the most, I'm gonna drink it right away.
There's no prejudice.
I don't like holding it. It's gonna get cold.
You don't like holding. Isn't
No,
that why everyone
no.
drinks anyway?
No, I just
To hold
grab
something?
it,
I
drink
love
it,
to
put it
hold
down,
a beverage
free
all
hands.
the time.
That is fascinating.
I actually walked here with my ceramic mug full of coffee. It was spilling all over me,
What if
but I just
what if you need to run? What if you're like,
I don't.
I need to get there fast, and you have a mug?
I don't
Okay,
run for the
so-
train. The
so-
train runs for me.
First of all, I coined that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't.
I claim it as well.
That's okay. I like to multiply. Also, I have to go back on everything I just said. There's one chill guy here.
I'm not a chill guy. I can act as a chill guy, but as soon as you know me, I'm not a chill
No,
guy.
because he is drinking his coffee in 30 seconds, so he has a free hand in case he needs to sprint somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like I'm over caffeinated, but I don't drink that much coffee. But still, I feel like I'm an over caffeinated person.
Interesting.
Kind of like I had that vibe. So I'm an anti.
Sorry,
I'm
not to
chill
be that
guy.
person. Like, I do not believe in just wrongly diagnosing people. Is that ADHD?
Something.
It's okay. That's
Yeah,
not what this
that's all good.
episode is.
Yeah.
I'm very, very ADHD regularly, but yeah, I don't know.
Hyperactivity. Sorry, guys, we divert. I am not a licensed doctor, so therefore I should not be doing
Cancel.
canceled. No, okay. So what we are talking about today, though, is about body image and guys, because well, no, but see, this is the thing, right? Obviously, I'm a woman. Shocker, everybody. I know if you did not know, that's your lucky surprise. Hopefully, it's obvious. But we had the whole conversation, right, with Laura and Gabby. And that's something that we talk about as girls quite, not necessarily often, but, it's a conversation, obviously. Obviously, I'm not a dude, so I don't know what you guys are talking to and, the depth of your relationships. But, I don't really think that's something that I'm aware of that guys ever really talk about. Is that true? Am I wrong? Educate me as a woman.
Jetson.
I feel like it's definitely different, but I also feel like it's okay. It's normal to talk about almost, just in a different way.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm just thinking about it when I was younger, and when I'm now. Also, I'm almost 30. That's something to know.
Okay, sorry. Time out on that. Almost every single episode, I do that exact same
I'm so
thing.
sorry, everyone.
You're going to find out at the end of this. Will and I are very similar.
But definitely, it's not it is a normal conversation, I would say, nowadays, but it used not to be a normal conversation. I feel like now, by seeing society nowadays, how important it is to talk, I see how necessary it is to have those conversations. But
Right.
before, for me, was no, I'm going to talk about my image to everyone, to all my dudes, being like, hey, dude, I feel insecure. That was not a normal language. Or about my image as a guy. That was not oh, just so you know, today I woke up, I need a more clear picture about myself. No, that was not normal. Nowadays, it's getting better, I will say, because society is opening it more. Conversations are more important. We see how important it is to be honest. And
Right.
yeah,
Would you say that any of that is impact? Maybe you have no idea, and if you don't know, that's fine. I'm just thinking now.
we might find an answer. So go
Hopefully,
on.
together we can find an answer. Would you say that's almost impacted by like things like I'm thinking of like the brand or the campaign like boys get sad too, or boys are sad or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Boys get sad too,
Yeah.
something like that, or like that kind of stuff. Or do you think it's just a genuine like? Do you think it was an intentional thing of like we need to get the male, I don't know, voice heard in these things, or do you think it's just a general swing of culture?
For me, what was helpful is one of my best friends growing up. He got into like powerlifting, but basically like he like gave me a whole personal training plan, like because I feel like I could be honest with like my good friends growing up, and he was just like okay, and he like wrote me out like personal training plan, and it was like more like I was like okay, like can I help, like can we like do you just want to be like healthier? So it's like I don't know, I feel like if a lot of my friends are like gym guys, they're very like open to talk about it, and they're very like proactive almost too, because they're like all right, yeah, let's like do something, let's like like, and not always in a toxic sense, sometimes it's in a really positive sense
I guess
well.
that would depend on the person as
Yeah,
well, right?
depending on
Like
the person. Yeah.
if you're a toxic person
Yeah.
or not.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so simple.
Yeah. No, and I feel like somehow I think within the guys we have becoming better at listening more, because usually as guys we are very fast at like talking and making fun of each other, and when you're in a vibe of like just screaming at each other, be like hot this, hot that, and then but I feel like nowadays we are more like take a pause and be like, hey, what's going on actually? What do you need? How can I help you? And I feel like that before for me was just like all jokes, all funny, all like
Yeah.
play football, run around, like punch each other, and that's it. That was very much like a surface level. But nowadays I feel like that still is there, like the whole concept of dudes being dudes. But at the
Guys
same
being
time,
guys.
but nowadays it's also that concept being like, yeah, actually I don't feel okay with this. And it's something that is, I think, is developing. Of course, sometimes it swings in different ways,
Right.
but I think it's getting better in that sense.
It's true. Even now, sometimes people will like if they make a joke, like guys will make jokes a lot, and sometimes even like about it's like, oh, you're looking big, man. Like sometimes as a compliment, but honestly, for me personally, I don't like that. I usually am like,
It's like, yeah.
I'm like,
So as in like muscly you're looking
I
big?
think
Because
that's
I
usually what
just had a
I think
internal
that,
trigger.
I think
response.
that's usually what they mean, but usually like okay, here's my like personal spiral kind of with like the body image is I think because I grew up around the conversation of fashion because my mom owned a women's clothing store and also at a men's clothing store at some point. I always wanted the like baggy skater vibe, and like a lot of those like clothes just don't look good on someone with broader shoulders or like a bigger back or a bigger chest. Because I wouldn't say I'm overweight, but also like I don't rock the, like the suit boys, like the skinny.
Yeah,
stoner
you're not
look.
a soup boy.
No,
and
but
that's
like
okay. Yeah.
I feel like there was a point where that's what was cool looked like. Like I never wanted to be a gym bro because I just didn't feel like it was my vibe.
Yeah.
So I like wanted to be one of those like I don't know like chill skater type things where you wear like the baggy clothes. But I feel like if you have broader shoulders and like a bigger back, baggy clothes just like widen you in general. And like so you like have no form and you just kind of like look bigger. So anytime I wore something fitted, people would be like, "Oh, you're actually like kind of in shape." Like, like people are always surprised, but like, it's just like I never wanted the body type I have almost. Like I wanted to be it's weird. I wanted to be like skinny for some reason. Like the like not like in a like fit sense, but just in like kind of the lanky.
Like your build.
Yeah, just my build in general. So it was just like but that just wasn't my build, and I'd always be so frustrated when people had the like super fast metabolism, just like, oh, I'm a black hole, and then they're just like lanky. And I know those people are really trying to like build muscle usually, but like for me, it's always almost the opposite. I was just like, I want to be like, because you just when you look at men's fashion and you look at like fit pics, it's just lanky dudes, like cheap clothes fit good on lanky dudes. You have to actually buy, and this is another thing of why I like good brands. It's like things will fit nice if they're well made. Like a Primark t-shirt will not look good on me because it's just like it hugs you in terrible ways, and it's cheap. But like if I get like a nice, well-made T-shirt, it like fits nice, you know, because it was like good materials. So it's just like the fashion and style aspect always played a lot into it for me.
So like, yeah, like the trends of even body types. And honestly, I don't think I've ever heard any guy talk this way, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I'm like, that sounds just like me, or like what the girls go, you know what I mean? Or like, I think it's just such a fascinating thing as well to be like, we don't want the body types that we're given because you wanted because you're niche, you know what I mean?
It's just like I didn't feel like it fit my style, which sounds really silly, but it's just like, I don't know.
And then like the lankier guys wanting to get muscle because for whatever reason they decided that and so, I mean, if anything, I think we've just reiterated the fact that this is a human problem, not a guy problem or a girl problem. But do you relate to anything Jetson said at all?
Honestly, yeah, because at the same time, I feel like I always been comparing myself when I was younger, like, in my school, we had a lot of guys that they were like very skinny, very athletic, very much like, I was looking at them and being like, I want to be able to play football like that. I want to be able to like rock those jeans or like whatever.
The multicolored skinny ones that you had. Sorry,
oh my god, that was something else. But yeah, like for me, like I grew up mostly around like skaters, but also a lot more like hardcore music, and everything was like skinny jeans. Back in the day, more like the V-necks.
The V-necks. Not the V-necks.
The V-necks, they were so deep down, and I was just like, I can't. But I feel like now I was just thinking as Jetson was talking, like I feel because sometimes it makes you so blind what the other person has, you're not able to appreciate what you have.
Right.
And all the time, what you're looking in the other person being like, wow, he's so tall, he's so skinny, he's so this, and that. And maybe the person is thinking the same about you, being like, oh, wow, he has broader shoulders, he's this and that. And I feel that whole concept of like comparison, almost like I want what the other person has, sometimes it really blinds you. Yeah. And I feel like my whole life, it really blinded me a lot. Because my friends, they were like, dude, random concept. At home, we don't have a lot of people with like green eyes, blue eyes. So for us having green eyes, blue eyes.
Home is Argentina, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, South America. For us, it's kind of like, wow, you have green eyes. You're so special. You're incredible. Exotic. You're like, wow, you're like a knockoff version of something. But then I came here to England, and everyone was like, wow, you have brown eyes. And for me, it was like, brown eyes are like the cheap version of eyes. But then
mass production.
Yeah, but then it was just like, wow, I really been blinded but about what I don't have. And I didn't understand that also there's people that wants what I have. And also understanding that was so cultural for me. And it gave me, like, when I came here, it kind of opened up my perspective about my eyes, for example. That was one area that was just like, why did I get brown eyes? And then being like, wait, actually, I should be grateful for this. This is amazing. But it's just a whole concept that for me blew my mind when I got here.
Yeah, and the perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm good friends with both of you guys, known you for quite a few years. Seen you guys on journeys, you know, and I think that both of you are in, from what I know and understand, a pretty good place with like, I guess, acceptance of your, I don't know if that's like the right even terminology, more or less. Like, okay, so you had these like ideal body types, you know, and it's actually kind of fascinating that you kind of have like an overlap of subcultures, which I think is very interesting. Yeah, but it's true. Like, anyway, I think we could also go into a whole other conversation as well about like subcultures defining the way that we look. But I think, that kind of touches on a conversation, a podcast that we had a while ago, a little bit about putting your identity in a subculture. But that I think we could go on, but let's leave it on the shelf for now. But like so you are saying, okay, like I don't feel great, whatever. What was the catalyst? Was it maturity of like changing, you know, like you just got older and saw things differently? Was it going into different environments, realizing that it wasn't just your environment? Or would you say it was like the whole social change and like the whole social narrative, like we said at the beginning? Like, was there anything that was like, oh, this is actually what like got me to see things differently?
I think for me, something that really helped me is the group of people that I have around me. When you're more in like into a competitive kind of, I wouldn't say society, but more like a group of friends where everything is more like about performance or everything is about how you look. it kind of keeps in that toxic mentality of like nothing is good enough. Like I need to change my eyes, I need to change my height, I need to change the thickness of my legs. They need to be thinner, and my shoulders should be like. But then coming to a different environment, a different space where people are more supportive, it really gave me like a different perspective, and it really kind of gave me a different way of seeing things.
Right.
Kind of took me from I wouldn't call it toxic, but let's call it toxic environment into a more of a different perspective. And at the same time, I would say also age kind of brought different perspective. I do still care about what people think, but I think I also, the more I grow, the more I realize that it's not about what people think about me. And I get that concept more and more every year, being like, hey, actually, I should be grateful with this. I should be content. Like nowadays with my wife, what does my wife think about it? If someone else doesn't think the same, that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's a concept that I've been learning more now. And it's something that came with time and maturity. And I will say, like, I'm going to keep developing this for the rest of my days, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would love to just, like, get it now. And that's it. But I think it's one area that really keeps me, like, I want to keep growing. I want to keep learning this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. For me, I would say friends and also, like, just age and the more you step into it.
Yeah. Because once your knees start hurting, you're like, oh, God, thank you for my body.
You're like, thank you for my knee, thank you for my back, thank you for my neck.
Yeah. For me, it was like, there's like a level of like acceptance where I was like, this actually is my body type. And then I think a lot of it is I learned to wear clothes that actually like flatter me more sometimes. Like I realized it's just like, yeah, if you wear a like cheap shirt, like someone else can pull that off, but like I can look at something and be like, that doesn't work for me. And I'm like, it's okay. Also, I've realized that like just mental health in general, like when I'm having a bad day, I'll look in the mirror and like not like what I see. And it's just like, it's connected to like the whole thing. I'm like how I'm talking to myself that day. So it's not just like, oh, I'm in a bad mood because I don't like the way I look. It's usually like I don't like the way I look because I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just like,
Interesting.
I don't know, just like, because on a good day, I'll like look in the mirror and be like, ah, nice.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Hey,
Like,
high fives, Samir.
fist bump.
But like, I don't know. Also, the whole like gym and performance culture, like, I didn't have a ton of friends like that. So I think just like having friends who just, I don't want to say didn't care about that, but also were just chill about it.
Yeah.
Okay, because for me, like, obviously, I had no idea what your guys' answers would actually be today.
Yeah.
But in my brain, like, okay, women want to get, like, skinny and be small and be whatever, but, like, with, like, curves, but, like, still small, right? Like, that's kind of, like, the ideal. Just
This and that to that part change.
yes,
the part.
exactly. It is silly. But so for me, I was like, oh, like, the guy version of this must be, like, gym bro, you know? Like, just totally, but maybe it's just because of, like, you two and your personality. Like, is that what you...
No, I never wanted to be like big. Like, I more wanted to be like toned and like lose weight. Always.
I always wanted to be big. But like no big like John Cena. But like
No.
kind of like broad shoulders, very athletic, kind of like that kind of guy. But yeah, it's true. It's so different for everyone.
It is so different. But is that just, like, okay, obviously, like, if you want to, I mean, cool, do it. You know what I mean? Like, go to the gym, work out, be fit. Like, and some body types, like, receive that's wrong, but, like, it's easier to get into that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
which is great. But is that, like, how much do you think about that?
Kind of often, honestly. Like, I know I like want to go to the gym more, but I also know that like I think I talked about this before on the podcast of like how much you can be fueled by self-hatred actually. Like it can be like it can run like you can do a lot. You can be super motivated by self-hatred, but it's just like not good. And it's just like your actions are like almost encouraging that you don't like yourself. Like because some
Yeah.
people, they need to be like angry to really get like going at the gym. And even sometimes like I'll listen to like just like very edgy music, but I feel like if I'm gonna like work out, I need to like push for myself, but out of a place of like I don't hate myself. I'm doing this because I care about myself and I'm like trying to like grow and you know.
Yeah.
But like I think about it often because like I'm like trying to think about health as well. But like yeah, unfortunately I do think about like self-image often, I think. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I agree with that. But I think for me, this is something that I'm constantly learning. it's like, why am I doing this? Because a lot of times it's like, it's something like he's saying is so true. Sometimes you wake up with the wrong foot, and then you just see everything negative. You see you go to work, sucks. You see yourself in the mirror, sucks. You eat your cereal, sucks. So everything is just tough that day. So it's also like about the way you approach life too. Because at the same time, it's like sometimes I have tough days, and maybe some things went tough with people. I'm a very people person, and if my relationships are not okay, also somehow I'm making to everything is wrong. So I also need to be careful in the moments. I'm inspecting my body. I'm thinking about my body, being like, well, is this a moment to think about it when you had a tough day, everything is wrong? Because I know I'm a person that once one thing is wrong, it's just like a snowflake. It's gonna grow into a snowball, and then we're gonna destroy a whole city. So and that's
Avalanche.
Yeah, and that's how I'm gonna make it. It's just like I need to learn also to don't feed the self-hatred, and because it's something that I'm very like I go to it very often. So I'm like, well, stop. Don't think about it. Distract yourself with a movie, with people. Get out of it for a second. Then
Just get out of your head.
Yes, get out of my head, because I'm alone in my head in this kind of concept. I don't vocalize it a lot, but I should. But sometimes when I don't, and I keep going into my head with this topic, it gets so messy in there. So definitely, like, once if your day's tough for me, if my day's tough and everything is tough, I shouldn't look at my body today or think about it, because I'm just gonna add one more thing to make my day terrible.
Yeah.
So
fair.
yeah.
Okay, so you touched on self-hatred, which I think, I mean, I don't know if that is just something that, to me, like, that's a normal thing to say. But again, we got older in a very kind of church setting, right? Where it's like, oh, like, look to like the bottom of everything, and like self-hatred, you know, like. So I don't know if that is like language that other people use. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm such in a bubble. So but like, how does that, like, obviously I think that as humans we all have and like struggle with that. But how does one differentiate between like, oh, this is self-hatred, and oh, this is just me wanting to be better and wanting to improve? Like, because I want the people listening to have like practical ways of like, you know, what if they're just like, no, but I do want to lose 20 pounds. How is that self-hatred?
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
But I think what Joel says is like, when he was like, if you're making sure you're in a good space or a bad space, to be like, all right, I need to transform my life. But if you're in like when you start examining yourself and you already know you're in a negative spiral, like, I don't know, like maybe watch out like how you view everything. It's just like, if you feel like you're in a negative spiral, be like, okay, now I'm going to talk about my like body image. And like, I feel like there's something so like personal and like not like intimate for yourself about your body, that it's just like, if you're in a negative spiral and you start like hating your body, it fuels a lot of other things. Like, it can get like really dark, I think, when you like start hating your own image. So it's like, I think like pay attention to when you're in a bad space and you start to take it there. Because I think like when you think about like, I think God created our image with intention. So it's like our image is intentional. So when you start like being able to look at yourself and like actually hate it, like, I think that's very dangerous. Voice crack. But yeah, like, I think it's just something to watch out for. So I think it's like, even I know sometimes going to the gym helps like relieve stress or relieve anger. It's like, it's actually healthy for you. So maybe if you're in a bad space, maybe you do need to just go work out, because I think that's actually helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think when you start to like examine yourself, like, don't look at yourself in the mirror and like watch what you're saying to yourself, you know, because it's just like that carries on to the way you treat other people as well.
Yeah.
You just, I don't know. I think you just need to be very intentional with it, like your image.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think like when I think about the body, I think also about like a home. And this is the home that I have. And I feel like self-hatred will be like destroy the home, make a new home. Yeah. But I think
True.
the concept of improving yourself and getting better is more like this is the home that I have, and also as a Christian, this is the home that it was given to me.
Do some renovations.
Exactly, and
Do
it's
some
just
DIY projects.
add some like twinkle lights, add some like
We don't need to
Hello,
destroy.
classic.
We don't need to destroy the home.
exactly.
It could just use a bit of like sprucing up, maybe. Maybe it just needs like healthier floorboards.
maybe it just
I
needs
don't know.
some cleaning, needs some
Yeah.
like refurbishment around. But I feel like that concept of being like, okay, this home that I have is what it was given to me.
Right.
First step, great. I'm grateful with it. And second step is like, how can I make it better? But I think the motivation is the tricky part because motivations, they can be so twisted. Some people make their motivations very Christian. Some people make their motivations very whatever. Or they kind of give like a half truth with like a 90% truth, 10% wrong. Like, for example, I remember twisting my own truth so often, being like, oh, this is fine because myself and this is what I think, but it was 5% of hatred. And
Yeah.
that for me is almost like you don't drink a water that is already poisoned. Even with just a tiny bit because it makes the whole water poison.
Right.
So I feel like you need to be very in tune with your motivations. Why
Yeah.
are you doing it? And same thing that he said about like, for example, I like running. Not for the sake of like, oh, I love hurting my knees, but just for the sake it's a moment that I'm like, my head gets so like free for a second. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm taking care of my body, but also my brain is kind of like switch off.
Yeah.
So, and I think it takes so much accountability and so much like being real with yourself and like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So because you can go to the gym to be like, everyone hates me, let me change something so people love me. And I feel those motivations, they're going to take you down the wrong path. You might see great results in a year because you're going there, but future you're just building based on hatred. And at some point that's gonna reveal. That at some point you're gonna notice being like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be like, God. And that's something that I think just you being honest with yourself, but actually honest, not giving like the fake, oh yeah, I just want to get better because I love my life. Nah, come on, be honest. Be real with yourself. And that's something I need to be honest so often. Sometimes I know that I can cheat myself. And I can be like, well, shh, don't think about it. Just go do that. Or skip that meal. No, I need to eat
Yeah.
it. So, yeah.
Which is, okay, you just touched on something.
Oh, no.
I know. And then we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Let's do it.
Okay. Because I feel like this is also something that we don't talk about. And especially, I don't think anyone looking at you would know that you've had this struggle of, I don't want to say, do you want to say it?
You can say it.
Anorexia.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. But because it also goes so against like the gym bro mentality, you know, or does
Bulk
it
up.
not?
Bulk up, eat a lot.
You know?
Pasta.
But like, but it's true. Like, no, like
Rice
that's,
and beef.
okay, I feel like this is where we're getting to the meat of it now, though, a little bit. And it's actually ironic because just as we literally mentioned that, camera stopped working. So if you're watching this and you're like, why is the framing completely different now? It's because we had to switch to my phone. But I feel like that's almost poetic in the sense of like, this is what we do not talk about with guys and like this aspect of things. I think you're the only guy that I've ever, well, I don't usually talk about this kind of stuff with guys anyway, but like that I've ever, you know, heard about this from, you know. And obviously as someone who's also struggled with that, like, I don't say we didn't trauma bond over it because I feel like we were both in healthier places. You know what I mean? Like, trauma. No. But because of that, I know like you're one of the few people that are like, Courtney, like, you okay? Because I know the signs, sort of a thing. And so I just want to, can we talk about that within dudes as well? Like, is this something that you guys talk about? Is this something that you've heard other people struggle with in like your guy groups, you know? Because obviously when you bring something to the light, you know, then it can be dealt with and it's exposed. It doesn't hold shame over you, you know? And then you can also relate to other people. As I said now, you're one of the few people that I'm like, I feel very comfortable with. Or if I'm struggling with something, I know I can tell you because you get it. Because you've already done a lot of the healing work as well, right? And I think that's an important part. But this topic in guys, do you ever talk about it? Do you not talk about it? Was it something that your friend group struggled with growing up? Is it, did you think you're the only one? Like,
Wow.
sorry, that's a lot.
No,
Pick
no,
from
no.
that whatever you want.
But I think it's really good. I think I was the only one in my school, but at the same time, I also never share it with my friends.
Right.
Just because, of course, it's kind of like a shameful talk.
Yeah.
At least it was a shameful talk. Just because you see, I think for me, it started whenever I was comparing myself because I was like 15, 14. My body was still like all over the place. And then you see that all the guys are skinnier, so getting the girl. And then you're like, okay, so the technique and the strategy to get the girl is get skinnier. And therefore you're like, how can and as he said, like, I am not a person that I burn calories or fat fast. I need to put some work into it. So then I saw that things were not changing. So I was like, okay, what's the faster route? Don't eat.
Wow.
Skip meals.
Yeah.
But I think, of course, that was a not good route because at the same time I also love sports. And when I used to play sports and not eating a lot, of course, you start feeling dizzy in the
Did you
middle
ever
of
pass
running.
out playing football or anything?
Things are starting to look kind of weird.
Okay, fair.
So
fair.
you're playing football and you're like, why do I see stars? You're like, what? Everything looks great, but why? But I think like for me, of course, now seeing it back, I saw my parents also seeing something weird in me, kind of being like, okay, he's acting weird. He's not eating everything. And I remember my mom being very annoying, being like,
oh, that's so anti-South American.
my mom being like, you eat everything. And I was just like, haha, yeah, throw away food. Or like, or give it to the
Really?
dog or something. But again, I saw her that she didn't just abandon me. Now I see it like, as being like 29. And I'm like, wow, my mom didn't give up on me. She didn't just take my word of being like, I'm fine. She just like really like target me. And then nowadays, also I have friends around that they know about this. They know about this struggle that I used to have. And whenever I see myself maybe having like a sneak peek about like, hey, I'm coming back. People are like, hey, did you eat today? Did you eat lunch? And I'm like, true. And I cannot forget about this. So
Yeah.
nowadays for me, it's like, it's something that is there, almost like a browser history search that is there, but it's something that I would say always need to be intentional, being like, well, prioritize your eating, prioritize taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
But I would say that this is not something that guys we talk about, at least with my friends group.
Right.
And even nowadays I make it more normal. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I struggle with like eating disorder. I struggle with like seeing myself. But at the same time, as you say, give me a grace and give me a perspective for people that also struggle with. I mean, like, hey, are you eating? Are you okay? Or you see the eye bags, or you see the darkness in the eyes, being like, you're skipping meals, right? And they're like, no. I'm like, yes, you are. So,
yeah, you can't hide from Joel. Let me just tell you that much. Do you have anything to add to that, Jetson?
I don't think so. No.
He said, no. What Joel said is completely good.
I don't know. I love food. So it's like been very funny. Like I have had times where I'm like, I need to like stop eating, but like I've never gone. I did intermittent fasting for a while, but I think for me it wasn't always bad. But like sometimes it's like now I feel like I'm in a more stable place, but when I was just because now I'm like married and we meal plan together. And I feel like that's been really healthy for me.
And they make beautiful meals every single day.
Because I do love food, but it's just like sometimes like if I'm stressed or overwhelmed, I'll just eat whatever's in front of me, or I'll like won't eat dinner, but then I'll have a bunch of weird snacks or left. Like there was a season where I was just like not meal prep or like plan dinner because that's like I don't know if it was like neglect, but it just like wasn't on the top of my mind, or I was all over the place, and then I'd like gorge myself on weird snacks like late at night, and then it was just like, so it's like not really like eating disorder, but it's just like when I don't want to think about it because I'm just like, no, I shouldn't like eat, like I can't, like I don't want to think about that. Then I just like, I don't know, I would just that moment of like we called it like the Vultures FC where we would always be eating leftovers.
Yeah.
A lot of that, like, first season was, like, I was not planning my meals. And I was just, like...
Just hungry.
It was only if
Hungry
someone...
guy.
I, like, almost refused to plan it for myself. So if, like, someone offered me leftovers, I'd be like, oh, yeah. Or, I don't know. It was just, like, I've had weird seasons with it. But I think I'm, like, more stable now.
But do you think you're more mentally stable now? In that, like, do you think... Because...
Yeah.
Mental health and physical health are like intrinsically linked, you know, because
they're so connected.
They're so connected, right? And what I'm hearing from a lot of this conversation is get your like focus on your mental health. Like if your mental health is not okay, then your physical health
100%.
cannot be okay because maybe it's like maybe your cardiovascular system is working fine, but you'll never view your, you know what I mean? Your body, your habits.
Yeah.
Yeah?
The thing is, it was in this season, I was trying to be like 100% available to like all the like work I was doing or things I was involved in or volunteering. So I gave myself no permission to create any habits or rhythms, almost. So like food was a side thing, exercise was a side thing. Like I couldn't ever think about having a regular like, exercise rhythm because I was like exhausted from my day or hungry. I was just like letting life happen to me. So it was just like food was like random thing from the shop or like eating out. And then I would like spend a lot. So like I think if you don't think about these things or like try to live on purpose in the sense of like what you're eating or like maybe even like exercise, if you're just like letting life like happen to you, I don't know, you just start, I think I would like maybe either like lose weight weirdly or gain weight weirdly. And it was just like, I don't know, I would just never think about it. So I think it's okay to like think about, again, like from a good place, think about eating, maybe plan out meals a bit, maybe plan out good snacks, like be okay spending money on it. Because I know there was a times where I was like trying to save money. So then I would just like not spend money on food ever. Like I wouldn't budget it out. Like I'm like, oh, that's not part of my budget. It's just a thing that happens. I'll find food.
Where it's like our main expense, you know,
Yeah.
the main thing our body needs. Like,
And that's something I've been learning more about. Like food is so important. Like I remember that my dad used to be like, dude, imagine that you're like a Lamborghini, beautiful car, right? But he's like, imagine that you never put gas to it. He's like, that car is gonna be stuck there and never move because you are not fueling it. You are not actually pushing it forward. So, and I feel like I have to manually learn that food is important because for a long time, my way of getting into the image, it's almost like my priority list changed. Rather than taking care of myself was like, get to be that image in your mind that you want to be. Therefore, what can we sacrifice on the way? And then it was just like overwork and then don't eat. And that's the faster way to get this. So it's kind of like the priority list of taking care of the house that we were talking about, kind of like switch around. But nowadays, it's like I'm still relearning about it because I'm a person that loves running around, not like runs, but like doing things all the time. I'm hyperactive all the time. And therefore, sometimes I do, but I don't stop to eat. And for example, my wife, even friends, they help me a lot being like, hey, did you eat today? And nowadays I don't do it for the sake of skipping. I'm just for the sake of like my brain still is like being wired back again into like, hey, well, don't forget to take care of your
that you can stop
eating.
for 20 minutes.
Exactly. And I
like-
think it's just like a wire relearning and reshaping and rechanging everything. And it's something that nowadays I would say I'm taking more victory in it, but it's something that maybe it's one of those areas that I'm like, I'm going to need help in this. And I will keep getting victory in this over and over. But again, it's something that I cannot just put my gloves down. I need to kind of be like, hey, well, how are you doing?
Always
you
be on
eating?
the offensive.
Yes, exactly. I cannot, in this area, I cannot be a chill guy. I need to be a hyperactive guy. Yes.
Hey, come on.
It's true though, because I think in my head, like things like meals and working out were at the bottom of the list for me always.
Wow.
And I would always just be like, going. And then meals would just happen along the way or food would just happen. However, I'd be like hungry and I'm like, oh, like, I don't know. But it's just like when I always like, I even like want to like go to the gym more now. But in my head, I was like, I don't have time for that. Or I'm like, people who go to the gym have like, they don't have this is really rude, but I would be like, they don't have a lot going on in their life. So they can go to the gym regularly. But I'm just like, I just can't fathom taking time away from something else to do that.
But you make time for the things that you value.
Like, yeah. So it's just like, but in my head, I'm like, oh, valuing that is selfish. You know,
Okay,
like valuing time for food, valuing time to go to the gym. Oh, it's like, oh, like everything else is like, I've always felt like everything's demanding of my time. I don't know. This is just a thing that I struggle with. I'm just like, it's like everything is a voice yelling at me for my like time. And I'm like, it's selfish for me to like want to go to the gym or like sit down to eat for a long time. Like, but again, like recently getting like married and like, this is just isn't advocating just marriage, but it's just having good people in your life who will sit down for a meal with you. Cause I think that's a very social thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like find people to like, I don't know, who will meet for lunch or dinner. And like, cause I think that's healthy. Is to like slowly eat dinner. Like even like when I I'm in the habit of like consuming food in like minutes.
Like Joel and his beverages.
Yeah, like Joel and his beverage. No, I love slowly sipping on beverages, but food, I just like I've gotten very used to inhaling, because again, setting up time to sit to eat your food, like it almost seems like, oh, that comes from a very privileged place, where it's just like I can set aside time for it. I just felt like there was a minute where no one would like encourage that, so I almost needed to like fight for that, and it felt selfish to fight for sitting and eating a meal, or like going to the gym. Or it needed to be like I needed to sacrifice sleep, you know, if I wanted to go to the gym, which honestly doesn't help as well, because sleep is very important as well. So it's just like, I don't know, giving myself permission to put time aside to be healthy.
I was just kind of like thinking about how was the process of me of like working with my self-image and anorexia and everything. And it sounds such a weird thing, but something that I used to do a lot is in the mirror putting like quotes of things that really remind me a lot of like, because I'm a person that sometimes struggles a lot to sit down and process, because I'm, as I said, like I love running around and walking, so therefore the whole concept of sitting down and just like, let's think about my day, it's a foreigner concept, and it's something that I also need to do manually, being like, well, shut up for a second and sit down and process what's going on in your head. How's your mental health? And I feel like having that, even at my home, my mom sent me a photo. I used to have like images above my bed that it was just like phrases being like, hey, don't pressure yourself. Take care of your intimacy, your intimate, where no one sees you. Take care of those spaces. And then even when I came to London, I also tried to put like quotes around the mirror, because it was an area that if I was not in a healthy space, I used to be like, you look tough. So I feel like something that really helped me was a practical task of being like, well, remind yourself. It almost changed the internal dialogue that you have in your brain by adding a new dialogue, because it's like for a long time, let's say, I'm not going to count when I was 7, but since I was like 10 or 11, my brain perspective was like comparison, performance, the body type that I want, until I was 17, 18. That's when actually things started to click. So I had 7 years of internal negative dialogue. So then I'm 29. So, and that's almost like, it's over. It's more than 100% away. But again, it's something that I had to really be like, well, you need to change the perspective. So you need to introduce new talks, new conversations.
It's not enough to just not think about the other things, but you have to.
I'm gonna go back to it, and maybe today I wake up and I'm like, let's be positive. Life is great. Well, you look amazing today. Someone says like, oh, dude, I don't like you today. And I'm gonna go back to my room, see the mirror, and I'm gonna be like, well, you suck today. So I need to understand that I cannot just be superficial about this.
Rewrite the narrative. Sorry for yelling.
But yeah, so for me, it's just like, I know with superficial solutions, I won't fix anything.
Right.
I know that I need to take steps into this. That is whether it's just like the way that I talk to myself, the people that I surrounded with, the things that I consume, the social media that I consume, what I think about most of the time. For example, one thing that I'm trying to change is like, don't look at my phone in the morning. Don't look at my phone before I go to sleep. So then the first thing that my brain thinks is social media and Instagram and perfect lifestyle.
And comparison. Even if you're just looking at things that you like.
But it's just something that is someone else's. Like, the typical dude nowadays says on Instagram that he wakes up at 4 a.m., washes his face with cold.
Last night.
They're ridiculous.
With the like ice, with like the ice, putting your face in the bowl of ice.
It's like the fancy water brand. What's his name? Ash.
I don't know who this is.
I don't know.
I've seen like joke videos where people edit it and it's like 2 a.m. Ice.
And then we
4 a.m. ice with the nose. Yeah, duct tape over the mouth. Nose strip.
First of all, it's not duct tape. Okay. No. I'm on the side of TikTok that's trying to sell me every hack to have a better night's sleep.
Seems creepy.
It's mouth tape, okay? And it's so creepy. I get so claustrophobic, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my facial hair, and I'm like, if I pick it up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God.
You just have like a waxed like circle around your lips.
In my head, it's just like, at what point is that just self-punishing? It's just like a bit intense.
It is intense.
But
I don't know,
but imagine consuming that every day. Like watching those kind of videos every day. You're like, oh, my habits are terrible.
Awful.
Or even it's just like I think there was one with the mouth tape and it was like, get a better jawline if you basically like seal your mouth shut. And I'm just like, in a weak moment, I'm like, if it's that easy.
Maybe I could sleep with tape over my mouth.
So weird though.
Yeah, have you seen like the wraps or the? Okay, this is a
Yeah.
whole other thing that we can talk
This is
about.
all in a new episode.
This is a whole new episode because when I tell you the amount of gadgets that I have bought within
Listen,
the past couple months, so
This
like,
is a whole another thing where it's like if you don't love yourself, there's a whole bunch of people marketing to people who don't love yourself, who are trying to sell you a solution. Basically.
exactly. They're creating problems that weren't there originally
true,
to sell
yeah.
you the solution. But that's a whole other
And
topic.
you need
I
to be
think-
on guard.
See you in the
against-
next episode.
Literally.
Yeah, I feel like there's a
Literally.
whole boom in like new self-care hacks that probably aren't necessary.
Well, here's
so
the-
we have to just be like on
I-
guard against that.
Thing is, I
almost.
read an article recently, and we do have to wrap up, so I'm gonna make this really brief.
Okay.
But like, essentially, how like self-care now is actually way more work and turning us more like like to have proper self-care. You need to have like a 12-step evening routine, sort of thing. If you don't care about yourself.
CeraVe is all you need. Maybe wash and a moisturizer.
Well, Jetson, I'm so happy for you. I have my 7-setting LED light
Oh my
therapy
gosh.
mask.
Her
but
Iron
that's
Man
fine.
mask. It's insane.
Honestly, I love the Iron Man mask.
Hey, one day I'll show you. Yeah.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
just really quick, if you have any advice on how, like, if maybe a dude's listening to this and they're like, oh, that's so great for you guys, but I have no idea how to talk to my friends about whether it's not eating enough, whether it's the fact that I'm comparing or that I'm insecure, what would be just like a really tangible, bite-sized sort of like, here's a way to learn how to like normalize this conversation?
Well, in my head, like immediately, I wouldn't be just like, unless it's like with a friend, just like, hey, I'm really like struggling with this out of nowhere, but almost like being more encouraging, especially with like when people like guys even jokingly are just like, wow, looking handsome, like, you know, like I think like Evan does it as a joke, like those kind of comments, but I think they're like nice.
Evan from Access Studios.
Evan from Access, like, but like even just like funny jokes about like complimenting like your guy friends in a not weird way.
Instead of like the typical banter that
Yeah.
tends to be a bit more
Like it sounds
degrading.
ironic, but I still think it's like nice.
It's still
if it makes sense, or even if it's just like introducing it into your jokes, like toxic
Into your routine.
joke. I don't know. I mean, like
Replacing
not,
a
replacing
toxic joke
toxic
with-
jokes with
Yeah.
like ones that are actually like aware of what people struggle with.
love that.
Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. I think, let's say that you're in a very toxic group of friends. I would say get a new one. That's one. But then if it's an open canvas of friendship that they are open to change, don't just wait for them to introduce the change. Also, you be the change first, because we always expect like people to be like, oh, they don't encourage me that much, or they don't lift me
Yeah.
up that much. How often do you lift someone up? How often do you encourage someone? How often do you're like, hey, dude, you look great today? Because
Yeah.
it's very easy for me to be like, why am I gonna encourage people that they look amazing if they don't do it to me? Well, sometimes you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like in this kind of concept of, because this is a culture change. This is something that you need to change the way that you think and talk and move. So you might need to be the one starting.
Right.
And the way that you talk, the way that you behave. But I would say like friendships is something that I would say if you're a person that struggles a lot with like your image, are you putting yourself alone from everyone else? If you are, don't. Be surrounded with good people. Be surrounded with a good community. Be surrounded with people that love you. The other one is just like start changing your vocabulary about how you talk about yourself. What are the typical things that you do? If you struggle with like your brain, journal. Like write things that are like what actually do you want to grow, but also what is something good of you today. And even if you start being like, I love my elbow, be like, my elbow, wow, dude, I love this.
Hey,
elbow.
that looks really moisturized.
I know. Thank you, Sadie. But so I would say the people that you're surrounded with, the way that you think, and then think about also your motivations, and also be honest with those motivations, and just start fighting a bit more with this, because I feel like for me, I was more in the perspective of like, oh, I'm never gonna change my brain. No. Don't drop the gloves. Keep
Don't be a
fighting.
victim.
Don't be a victim of the concept, because it's very easy to be like, my body's different. I don't lose that much weight as fast as blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's good that you recognize your situation. What are we gonna do about it? How are we gonna move forward about it? So, but again, there's processes and processes with this. I know that some people are more like, quick, get out of it. Don't anorexia, start eating. No,
Yeah.
it's a process.
Yeah.
So I would say like have grace, have patience with yourself, but at the same time, understand that there's a moment of you're gonna struggle and it's gonna be hard. But after what is hard, you're gonna start taking victory, and afterwards take victory, you create a culture. So it's just it takes steps, but it takes moving forward.
That's so good.
And you're gonna fall. Sometimes you're like, I feel great. Maybe tomorrow you wake up and you're gonna be like, I hate myself. Cool, come back.
Yeah.
Change it. Don't just be like
Start again.
drop the towel and go to sleep. No, before you go to sleep, say something nice.
Yeah.
And go to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's every day knocking at the same door and being like, let's try.
Love that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for
Honestly,
having us.
yeah, thank you for being so vulnerable too. Sorry, I said that so strange.
Thank you.
for sharing. But no, honestly, I'm really happy that we had this conversation. Because yeah, it's not even one that we totally have as friends, but yeah, hopefully this normalizes it, continues to normalize it. And honestly, I am so glad to hear that for men, like it's on and up. You know what I mean? The normalization of these conversations and just the health in general of your, I guess, friends and subcultures and that. Well, yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed it too. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Yeah, as always, if you have any thoughts, want to add your opinion, any questions, whatever, give us comments on all the social platforms, on Spotify, YouTube. You know the drill. Follow us, be a part of the convo, and we will see you next time.